Hello, this is Ron and Hugh, and welcome to Politically Challenged. Today we're going to discuss the psychology of a social justice warrior. So first of all, we're going to differentiate a social activist from a social justice warrior. A social justice warrior is somebody who gets offended over every little thing that may be wrong with the world, but does absolutely fuck all about it except bitch and whine on social media. Whereas a social activist will see maybe one thing, maybe two things, a bunch of things that are actually happening in the world and actually come up with constructive, positive ways to rectify the situation, fix the problem, and save the day.
Like that new plastic collector in the ocean they just made.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you saying an SJW, which I would say for abbreviation, would complain about the pollution and all that stuff, but don't do anything, while activists would actually go, hey, there's a problem, and we try to invent something or get people to help.
Yeah, the social activist, they could come up with the idea to create a machine that would collect up all the plastic in the water, and it would not only add value to the marketplace, but it might help save the environment. Whereas the social justice warrior will complain that there's global warming and just complain about it on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and not do much about it.
Yeah. Okay, Hugh, so we're just rolling with it now. So, would you ever say that you've ever acted as a social activist or social justice warrior in even a lighter degree?
Of course I have. That's what Facebook's for. So about maybe 4 years of my life, maybe including university, I would complain about the global warming and all the wars and all the poverty that was going on in the world, and the racism, oh yes, and the police brutality, and everything that may have been going on in the world. Guess how much I did about it? Absolutely nothing, not a damn thing. Because I was too busy complaining on social media and not spending enough time actually doing anything about it.
I mean, I didn't have that problem because, I wasn't really into social media. I'm not really doing much now. It's just that, when you kept on using this word social justice warrior, that seemed foreign to me. I didn't think it was such a big deal. But now that I watch a little more YouTube, I feel kind of a part of it now. I didn't know how, you talk about echo chambers. It's weird how, you get stuck in, is it tunnel vision? Did you get that? You're just so focused on actually angry, you don't do anything constructive.
Yeah, the echo chamber is a good point, actually. Basically, because I was reading and watching the same type of videos, the same type of articles from the same type of online news platforms like The Guardian or maybe Vice or The Canary. Oh God, The Canary.
What's The Canary?
This left-wing, The Canary is this left-wing news platform. It's very pro-Labour, pro-Corbyn, pro-socialism. Always talking about how the Tories are evil, etc., etc. It's very left-wing biased. Basically, I'd listened to all of that, and while I was stuck in this social media echo chamber that I had created for myself on Facebook and all the other social media sites, I had begun to think like a left-wing person. So instead of coming up with ways of actually trying to do something about the war or the poverty or the global warming or Trump or the US bombing different countries, I would just complain about it and whine about it on social media.
Wait, didn't you go to the TRIDENT protest? Didn't you?
No, I went to a protest.
Did that do any good?
No, it didn't.
Did you stop TRIDENT?
No, we didn't stop TRIDENT. At least that was me trying to be constructive about it.
So would that be defined as an activist thing or a justice?
No, I think at that point it was like a mixture of people, but it was mostly social activism that we were trying to. But me, I didn't really do the protesting thing much. I just walked with them. I didn't really do much protesting. I just joined in. And that was for the Trident protest, or anti-Trident protest a couple of years ago, because they wanted to renew Trident and spend billions and billions of pounds. Nobody knew the actual figure because he wouldn't specify it, but Jeremy Corbyn and the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament kept talking about £205 billion being spent over the next 30 to 40 years. And I was thinking, damn, we got all this money, but the NHS is struggling, the schools are struggling. You could build thousands of schools and hospitals.
Roads are some roads and some streets couldn't...
Roads, streets, infrastructure, transport, schools, hospitals, anything. Literally, paying off student loans, not charging people for that stuff. But no, we don't have the money for that, but we had the money for Trident. That was what was annoying me back then. And of course, after all the protests, after all the petitions, after me emailing my own MP, after the MP not showing up, all that stuff, guess what? They renewed Trident. They didn't make a goddamn
I told you about that
difference.
comedian that basically, he found that guy who was on the boat who was evading tax. He pranked Donald Trump with those Nazi golf balls.
Oh, that comedian, yeah.
I mean, I know his character's name, Lee Nelson. I don't know his actual name, but like, if someone Googles Lee Nelson, they can find him pretty easily. Yeah, he basically did he interrupted loads of people, and at the end of the program that Channel 4 did on him, they basically said everything that he did, nothing happened. This was before Trump became president. Like, he didn't do anything. Like, he basically just acknowledged, like, it did nothing. He didn't speak the tie. No one cared.
You're referring to a man called Simon Brodkin?
Oh, yeah.
So basically, yeah, that's what he did. When Trump was doing a promotional thing on the Scottish golf course, yeah, the guy, he threw golf balls at him, and I think it had swastikas on them.
Yeah, he ordered them especially. I mean, we could talk about the cultural appropriation of golf balls, and then the Nazi symbol, which was originally a symbol.
Yeah, if you wanna hear more about the swastika, its origins, and how it's actually an example of cultural appropriation, despite the fact that we didn't believe that cultural appropriation existed, you can check out our cultural appropriation video on YouTube.
Yeah, we found it a lot, but yeah. But this cultural appropriation, that's become a thing, and we saw, like, I think one of PewDiePie's video mentioned, like, social justice warriors have kind of gone into a different tangent, and how learning a different language is technically appropriating a cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
What do you believe about that?
Apparently, for example, apparently according to a couple of social justice warriors on Tumblr, if you're not French, you can't speak. If you're not French, you can't speak French. If you're not German, you can't speak German. If you're not Polish, you can't speak Polish,
and so on.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Do we count as social appropriates because you're originally from Nigeria?
No, but we were born here, and we grew up learning this language.
So that's the line.
So even from that angle, even from that mentality, we can't possibly be cultural.
Oh wait. So if I learn my Sri Lankan language, Tamil, or you learn your Nigerian tribe's language,
again, no,
would you be cultural appropriation?
Again, no, it wouldn't be cultural appropriation because that's our family's culture. Even from that mentality.
Even though we're technically British, like.
No, but technically we're supposed to be both.
Are you saying no one would argue that your culture appropriating?
People could try to argue it, but I think it would be stupid. Like, obviously, you say you have Sri Lankan heritage, I have Nigerian heritage. It wouldn't be cultural appropriation if you spoke any dialect or language from your parents' country, or if I did the same with my parents' country.
I mean, like,
it wouldn't be cultural appropriation because that's our family's culture.
Yeah, I say Sri Lankan, like, far further down my family, I have some Malaysian thing. I mean, like, is that too far gone? Can I learn? What are they?
Again, even if you weren't, even if you want to learn Chinese, it wouldn't be cultural appropriation.
No. Like, would these people define it? Like, you have a Spanish great-grandfather or something further down the line. If you learn Spanish, would they say you're black, you can't learn Spanish, even though in your family?
I don't know.
I mean, like,
either way, it would be ridiculous whether I have a Spanish ancestor or not. It would be ridiculous to think that I'm culturally appropriating Spanish culture because I'm trying to learn another language.
Now, that's the thing I'm trying to understand with this mentality. Like, how, like, at what point do you get the line of, like, angry and accepting? Like, where do they draw the line?
It's a matter of perspective. People, like, on that PewDiePie video we saw, for instance, somebody complained about a 17-year-old man who was feeding the homeless.
Oh yeah,
and
because
No, go on.
Because he was melting the metal from the can to create candles, and he was donating the soup to the poor people, and a person compared him to Hitler for some weird reason.
Yeah, somehow we don't remember why. Somehow this person saw an article about a 17-year-old helping the homeless, and she somehow derived that to him being like Hitler. She somehow looked at that and thought, oh, he's like Hitler because he's a white boy trying to exploit people. I don't even know. No,
basically,
where she was coming from.
Her argument is that basically Hitler's friends and family would say he's a nice guy. So basically, even though this boy is doing a nice thing, he is like Hitler because, like, Hitler's friends would defend him, so his family would defend him. I think that was the argument for some weird reason. They got angry. I think it's also misogyny.
It was a very stupid argument, but that's life, I guess. But not every so-called SJW was like this. We're talking about extreme cases. Most of them just want to do a lot of things I mean, they want to do a lot of things to save the world, but a lot of them just complain on social media and don't do anything. Some people do the social activist thing. Some people complain on social media and then they go out to protest or lobby and meet politicians. Some people go out of their way to give people flyers about why they should, not agree with renewing Trident, or why they should, help people who are struggling, who are homeless. People do good things and do social activism, but they might also be SJWs. So, yeah, it does depend.
I mean, we've done terrorism before, like SJWs. Is there like, like religion and even football, like for example, football ultras that you might not be aware of, like proper high-end supporters fan. Do you think there's an extremist segment of social justice warriors that are so obsessed with their mentality they actually attack people for having different beliefs or something, because they're so focused on this?
I mean, again, we'd have to we wouldn't. There are definitely groups of people that have such strong beliefs, and they believe that they're so right that they're willing to do violent things and willing to hurt other people to get what they want and to, send their message across. I mean, you've got the right-wing people, you've got the nationalists and the fascists and the KKK and all this nonsense. And on the left-wing side, you've got people like Antifa and oh God, so many different types of people. But you've got it doesn't matter. You've got the left, you've got the right. They both have extremist groups that act violently. They kick things about. They set fire to things. They attack police. They attack innocent civilians.
Which is what I find annoying. Like, why the left blame the right blame the left. No one tries to find common ground, which I find strange. I mean, like, we've talked about like Corbyn. I don't know much about him, but like I would say I'm more liberal. And Theresa May, in my opinion, I just feel that she's not cut out for the job. But I have nothing against her. I mean, recently that terrorist that tried to kill her got like 30 years or whatever in prison. But I mean, like, I have nothing against Theresa May, but like me saying that I have nothing against her, I think she's doing the best she can. That someone who's high left wing would be like, "Oh, you're a May sympathizer," you know that, right? Someone would say that. Which I find strange. Like, why can't they just listen to what I have to say?
That's one of the main reasons we created this podcast, because we wanted people to talk about political and social issues without feeling that they needed to pick a side, or even if they already had picked a side, they could feel that they wouldn't have to pick on somebody or attack somebody just for having an opposing point of view. So let's say, for example, you liked Theresa May and everything that she stands for, and for example, I absolutely hated her. Let's use that as an example. Obviously, the natural thing to do would be for me to attack you or for you to attack me. You would say, "Oh, Theresa May is wonderful. How could you be so stupid? What's so bad about her?" And I'd call you stupid because I would think that Theresa May is a terrible person. But that wouldn't help anybody. That little tit for tat debate, it wouldn't help anybody. Nobody would solve any problems there. But if you have a debate and come up with a resolution and find some sort of middle ground, you can be able to talk about politics and social issues in a healthy way and might actually come up with a solution that benefits all parties, or at least the best solution possible.
I think in an episode of Doctor Who, David Capaldi's Doctor basically talked about every war starts with talking, and then ends with talking. That's how it ends. So like, I think debate's the wrong word. Talk. Just talk to the person. Actually listen. Like, you remember it? Maybe you don't remember that.
No, I definitely remember that war speech. He was actually saying that every war starts with two sides, and it doesn't matter how right you feel, you don't know who's going to die. And then he said, after all the bloodshed, people are going to do what they were always supposed to do at the beginning: sit down and talk. That was the point that he was trying to make. So out of all the wars we've ever had, it's basically come down to the fact that both sides wanted the same thing. They wanted the power, or they wanted the land, or they wanted something that they were both willing to fight for. People on both sides, suffered losses, human losses, good people dying for the cause. And sometimes these wars, they may be created so that, the governments can become richer and, you've got innocent people fighting and dying so that other people could become rich. So let's say you're fighting because you want somebody's oil. And then if you get the oil, you become richer, but people have to die for that. So at the end, whether it's to do with the oil or whether it's to do with land or whether it's to do with peace, bringing peace to a country, at the end, people are always going to just sit down and talk.
I mean,
and draw some sort of negotiation.
This might trigger you a little bit, but can you just give...
I'm not a social justice warrior. I don't get triggered. But go on.
But can you give Trump a little credit for not going to war with North Korea? He just talked to him.
I changed my mind. I'm triggered. What the hell are you talking? No, I'm kidding. Obviously, due to Trump's actions, whether you like him or dislike him, whether you love him or hate him, in the context of what happened afterwards, yeah, you could argue that if it wasn't for the tweets that almost caused World War III, perhaps they wouldn't have been talking. Shut up. You can't see this. He's trying to push me towards it. He's trying to push me towards it. He's trying to be like, yes, you say it, admit it, say it.
What?
No, he's like, you're trying to get me to say that because of Trump, North Korea is less hostile than it was, and that you can actually talk. Well, just say it because I can't articulate.
Well, North Korea, he's open dialogue with it and hope, but again, there's still no free movement between South Korea and North Korea. It's still far from gone, but we've gone to a point where Kim Jong-un is talking. I don't know the leader of South Korea, but there's more dialogue happening. So
you're saying that because of Trump and all those tweets and the aggressiveness of what he was saying, including my button is bigger than yours or whatever, because of that, he's actually made sure that Kim Jong-un has actually made a decision to try to talk to the South Korean leader and broker some peace, or at least consider peace.
Some peace.
Okay, well, it's an interesting theory anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to give him complete credit, but it could have gone so much worse. You know that, right?
Yeah, it could have started World War III.
Okay, how would it have started World War III? It would have been America versus North Korea, and we know that America had more resources. North Korea would have been obliterated, literally.
Yes, but people would have died regardless. I mean, I think it's a matter of your ethical perspective. I mean, from a deontological perspective, you could say that it's really about the intent of what you're doing rather than the consequences. But from a teleological perspective, you can say that it's more about what happens, the outcome. The outcome defines, whether it was a good or bad decision.
The ends justify the means.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you saying that?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Are you saying Trump
better.
wanted a war?
No, I don't think he wanted a war. I mean, I hope not. But yeah, exactly. You believe that the ends justify the means in this situation. So yeah, he put out all these tweets, but something good came out of it. I had the perspective that the means do not just the means aren't justified because the way he did it was so it was irresponsible, because you don't want to trigger somebody who has been threatening to blow us up. I told you. You don't want to trigger somebody that is trying to blow us up. I might be further away from the mic now, but you can go on and say what you were saying.
Well, would you call this a mini Cold War that we nearly had with North Korea? Well, it's America and North Korea, so would that be a mini Cold War?
You could argue it's a Cold War, sure. I mean, especially because there was such high tension between America and North Korea, especially when it came to the two leaders, head to head in a sense. It was almost as if there was this verbal boxing match and it would determine the fate of the world. At least that's what the media would like to have us think.
Well, it didn't, so it's good. But that's down to two people, so that's on a grander scale. On a smaller scale, can social justice warriors encourage bullying in a sense?
Well, the thing with SJWs is bullying happens anyway. So I've seen many debates on Facebook between different social justice warriors, or a social justice warrior and a conservative, or just two different people with opposite beliefs, polar opposite beliefs. And there's a lot of name calling and insulting and yes, bullying. let's say even on our own
Facebook feed.
Yeah, even on our own podcast, on our own podcast, we have a Facebook page, and we have a feed with all the comments of all the posts. And when we share videos about the outrage of Apu being voiced by a white person when he was always voiced by a white person, and I don't know, it's just stuff like just so-called millennials being offended by everything, which I find hilarious considering we're supposed to be millennials and we don't give a damn.
I forget, like, I remember sharing the grid, but like, I'll probably need to find it at some point. There's a grid about, it's from like 1980 something to like 1997 or something. So we're both millennials because we're born in that time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But for some reason people call millennials people after the year 2000, which makes sense, but like, it's a weird definition. The definition is subjective.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but back to my point. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, there's people bully each other when they have these political debates about anything, about immigration, about Apu, about homosexuality, about my favorite one. When I think it wasn't even on the podcast Facebook page, it was on my Facebook page, or maybe both. I'm not sure. I think it was that time when I shared a post about transgender people being banned from joining the military, and that was Trump tweeting that, by the way. It wasn't an announcement. He didn't go up and go behind a podium and say, "Hello, I decree that transgender people should be banned from the military." He just tweeted it.
So it was informal?
No. I mean, it's Trump. Everything he does is on Twitter. Like, political proclamations that are being written into law are being announced via Twitter. That's what he does.
Okay. And
like,
what's your...
this is a 70-year-old man who's more skilled with Twitter than half of these so-called millennials that we know. So he's ruling the country via Twitter, and it's supposed to be unprecedented. But here's the thing. He's doing it in a way that it polarizes people and separates people and divides people, because people have so many goddamn different beliefs, and it's going to piss a lot of people off. So when I shared that post about him banning transgender people in the military, I had no idea that I had so many different types of friends with so many different beliefs, and that they would fight each other about it. I had one person say, "Oh, it's homophobic, it's transphobic." I had another person saying, "Well, actually, it's not transphobic because, well, God." And this isn't my opinion, by the way, for goodness sake. This is just what those people said. "Oh yeah, being transgender is a mental illness. Oh, it's gender dysphoria. It's not really it's not a sexuality or a gender or anything. It's a mental illness. Oh, so people who are mentally ill shouldn't be in the military because it will be traumatic for them and it might cause more harm than good." And then other people made the argument, I think including myself, that people leave the military with PTSD and anxiety and depression and suicidal tendencies anyway. So
we covered this, and I said that a soldier, in any country would have like hundreds of tests, and I think person with transsexual background should probably do another test to make sure they're mentally capable. But that's the only thing I would say. Just add another test. What's another20 tests, what's the 11th or 21st or whatever? I mean, that's my argument, but like...
Well, to screen people out who...
to have them do other tests if they're mentally capable of dealing with the stress of... Because they've gone through this, and some could argue they're probably stronger because they've gone through one traumatic experience of being born in the wrong gender and then having gender assignment, procedures. If they're mentally strong enough to deal with that, they could deal with war. I mean, it's a different type of stress, but you know the idea. That's why another test to see if they're mentally able... That's fair enough, but obviously that's debatable.
Yeah, for their safety as well as for the safety of other people.
Another test, would that be sufficient?
Perhaps, man. I mean, instead of just completely saying transgender people should be banned from the military, just to distract people from whatever it is that the Trump organization may or may not be covering up. Everybody seems to believe that the Trump organization is covering things up, especially when all these people that know Trump are, getting fired and being indicted and all this nonsense. So obviously people are trying desperately to catch Trump with his hand in the cookie jar and get him, impeached, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not like bit quiet. He says a lot of stuff here and there. He's probably done some stuff here and there, and he's still president. So I think he's here for the remainder of his term, and he might get re-elected if people vote for him again.
Probably. He probably will, because he's still got a huge support base.
Yeah. I wonder how the SJWs will react to that. Trump version 2, Trump.2.
As we come back to our topic on the psychology of the social justice warrior, instead of just, taking the mick out of social justice warriors.
Like I said, there's an echo chamber. You get stuck in
Yes, where everybody gets stuck in echo chambers. Conservatives, liberals,
lefties,
left-wing, right-wing, centrists, everybody gets stuck in echo chambers of they pigeonhole themselves in a way, because they listen to certain news articles, certain platforms, they watch certain YouTube channels, they see certain things that they look for these things to support and reinforce and strengthen their beliefs. And then when they're fed more of the same stuff, they keep believing in that stuff. So for example, if I only listen to things like The Guardian or Vice, anything left-wing or left-orientated, I'm going to think left-wing. If I only watch and listen to right-wing newspapers and podcasts and media outlets, then I'm going to have right-wing views. If I'm going to watch nothing but entrepreneurial stuff, I'm going to be more inclined to think entrepreneurial and think like a capitalist. If I only read books like the Communist Manifesto and read about Marxism and Leninism, then I'm going to think like a communist. It's like that. So people pigeonhole themselves into these neat little boxes and say, that's who I am, that's how I think, that's what I believe in. And with social media, it's a lot easier to do that, because with Facebook, for example, they've got all these algorithms now, so they show you what you like. So you watch one video, and then they'll have a whole list of related videos that you can watch one after the other, to keep you on the site so that you watch more videos and you create more activity, and then they make more money.
Okay, so when we were discussing what topic to do this week, I said social justice warrior because of your history, mild history of being in that area. So as we come to the close, what message would you have to any social justice warrior or anyone politically interested in what we're talking about, anyone interested in what we're talking about? What message would you send to them based on your history and stuff like that? What would you say to them? Someone who feels so angry about something, so passionate about something, who wants to... Do you tell them to do something about it? What do you tell them? What message would you send them?
Number one, I would say that if you feel so passionately about something, if you desperately want to change something or make something better or resolve something or solve a problem, you have to be proactive about it. If you see, let's say, Syrian children getting bombed for the billionth time, and it might have been a Russian missile or an American missile or ISIS.
British?
Yeah, unfortunately. Any of them. You might actually need to consider doing something proactive in order to contribute to making the situation better. So maybe you could set up a fundraiser so that you can raise money for these kids. You could donate money to an established charity. You go to Syria, help out. You could do whatever it is. You just have to be or if you don't have the money to go to Syria, you just have to find a way to be proactive in solving the problem, or at least do the best you can. That's number one. Number two, if something annoys you so much or angers you so much, that's not even good for your mental health in the first place. So if you feel as if you can't do something about it, ignore it. So basically just don't read about Syrian children dying or people being malnourished if you can't do something about it, until you figure out a way to do something about it. And then this leads back to number one, about being proactive, because I don't really want to tell everybody to just ignore all the terrible things that are happening, because I don't think that's great advice to just say ignore it and do nothing about it, and that's the only thing you do. I don't think that's a good thing.
Research? They can talk to their friends, family, other people.
Research? What do you mean?
Talk to their friends and ask them what they're doing. What are they doing? And if they don't have the resources to actually make the change, maybe they could have talked to their friends about it and talk to different people with different opinions and see if there's common ground when it comes to Syria or whatever. So
ask around, ask what you could do. I mean, that's a good solution.
Because that's nearby. You don't have to go and get a flight or anything
Yeah, okay. So one, be proactive about it. Two, just ignore it until you find something to do that could help the situation. And in between, you could just ask for friends and ask friends and family and colleagues what they would do in the situation or what other people have done. That's a good one. And number 3, if you see something that angers you or something that you're passionate about, something that's terribly wrong in this world, something that you can solve, make a business out of it. Let's say, for example, let's say, for example, I read a book called Purpose. Well, we're reading it right now. It's called Purpose, and it's written by a woman called Jessica Huey. She created a company called Colorblind Cards because she went to look for a greetings card for a 7-year-old child. Well, her child at the time. And she couldn't find any greetings cards with people who weren't white on it. So she wanted to find a card that had like a child that looks like her daughter on it because, you know, it makes sense. But there weren't any. So she decided to create this company from scratch so that people, I don't like to use this term often, but quote unquote, people of color can buy greetings cards that represent them. That's on her PR company. Those are the 2 companies that she created from scratch. That company that she created, Colorblind Cards, that company that she created it because she felt that there was a hole in the market that she needed to fill, something that was missing that she needed to add, that she needed to create. And she realized that the only way that was going to happen is if she did it herself.
Oh, that's a good idea. I never really thought about that the default photos were all white, but like, we do live in England where the predominantly is white, so it's not, I wouldn't say it's an offensive thing, it's just it's literally a gap in the market, no one really thought about it.
I mean, it's not something people would normally think about until it's like, it's one of those situations where you don't think about it until it's pointed out, and then you're like, oh, okay. So instead of getting offended about it or complaining about it, no, not you. Instead of her getting offended about it or complaining, she did something about it and she created the company. So yeah, if there's something terrible happening in the world, whether it's political, social, cultural, you can somehow try to make an enterprise about it that would fix the situation. Either a business of, and when I mean business, I mean a for-profit enterprise, or a charity, which would be more like a social enterprise.
Some people could research
or a combination of the both.
With Jessica Hill, that's an organization that people might want to join, or there are charities, there are other organizations that probably do something that they're compassionate about. There's UNICEF, there's charities and stuff, there's Greenpeace. If you want to do something, there are avenues, if you know what I mean, for people to go down.
Yeah, exactly. That's another
Ideally,
excellent
I would
point.
say do research. There's something wrong with research.
Yeah. In this day and age, there are like so many resources that you can look at, so many websites, so many articles, so many people that could literally show you what you could do in a specific situation.
So rather than being angry, you could be like, oh, I'm angry, maybe I should look into it further and see why I'm angry, and then see if there's anyone doing anything about it.
I mean, the passion and the anger is natural, so you can't really make fun of people for that.
But direct it, constructively.
Yeah, exactly. You need to find a way to constructively to use this anger and passion and turn it into something constructive that could actually help the world instead of just complaining on any social media outlet.
I know some artists that, they draw their feelings and paint their feelings and stuff,
musicians are very good at expressing their pain through music and their joy and love through music as well.
So basically everyone has a niche, they just need to find it.
Exactly.
Anything else you want to say?
No, I think that's perfect, so I think we can end it there. Okay guys, well, you're probably watching this on YouTube again, so if you are, please leave a comment about what you liked about the video or what you didn't like, we don't mind. Also, please subscribe, share it to your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and all the other places that you can share it. You can see our social media below in the description box and the resources that we used to get this information.
And always be respectful.
It's goodbye from Ron.
And it's goodbye from Hugh.
Okay, bye guys.
Ta-ra.